Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for joining us here once again on Instagram for another Waldorf Wine Wednesday. I'm Christian LaRoche. I'm sales manager for Waldorf Wine Group here in Vancouver, and I'm so glad you could join us here once again. Hey, before I go any further, happy International Riesling Day. Yeah, it's a great day here on Waldorf Waldorf Wine Wednesday. Hey, as the name implies, Waldorf Wine Wednesday. We started doing this back in about May of 2020. It was our way of pivoting, I guess, during the pandemic and bring some content online. Kind of a clearinghouse of all things Waldorf Wine Group here. We feature wines that are in the market, wines that we're looking to bring into the market. We'll talk about any promos we're going to be having, any tastings that we're going to be having, any visiting winemakers, etc., etc. So yeah, all things under the Waldorf Wine Group sun. For those of you not familiar with us, we're a small company. We started back in 1993. We're a family-owned business importing European wines into British Columbia and Alberta. We were started by our founder, Andy Waldorf, who is still at the helm. And yeah, we have a very, very interesting portfolio, and we're very heavy on quality German Riesling. And that's what we're looking at today. Hey, listen, before we go any further, a couple things. One, if you haven't done so already, please, I do invite you to follow us here on Instagram. We're getting up there. Yeah, we had a nice little bump. We're getting close to 540 followers and growing. So please do follow us here. It's a good way to keep up to date. On a sadder note, though, too, I would be remiss if I didn't mention we lost one of our absolute favorite human beings in the world of wine, and also German Riesling. I'm going to raise a glass to Willie Schaefer, who passed away last week, sadly. And I just wanted to say, great winemaker, great human being, and I send condolences to his family and all his friends. So cheers to you, Willie Schaefer. Life well lived. Thank you. Getting back to it for today, we're actually going to be keeping the Mosel Riesling theme going today. We've got a really cool one. I'm extremely excited about this wine. We just brought it in. It arrived. It's literally just going out of the warehouse as we speak. This will be available in BCLDB stores, and it's a wine I get really excited about because we haven't brought in too many examples of this style of wine. Let's flip the camera. I'm going to show what we're trying. I'll let the cat out of the bag. This is one of our absolute, if not our favorite supplier in our portfolio. This is our good friend Johannes Selbach from Selbach, Oster, and Zeltingen in the Middle Mosel. They are, when you're talking about, they're Mosel Riesling royalty is what they are. They are a super, super hardworking family that traces their history going back to 1600. Look, it says so on the label. But seriously, they trace their history going back to at least 1600. Johannes, Barbara, and their son Sebastian Selbach are farming 24 hectares in Zeltingen, and we'll pull that up in the Google Earth map. But this is a very, very cool wine. What we have here today, it's a dry Riesling from the village of Zeltingen, where they're based in. But as you notice, this is an Alte Reben selection. So what that is, this is an old vine selection, and not just regular old vines. There's old vines and there's old vines, but this is mostly up to 90-year-old ungrafted Riesling vines. Yeah, pretty cool. But it's a little bit different for us too, because we tend to bring in a little bit more often fruitier Rieslings that leave a little bit of residual sugar in it, from our very humble fish label Riesling, which we just reloaded back at the BCLDB. This is an off-dry Riesling, or what I like to call a half-dry Riesling. A little bit of residual sugar on the tip of the tongue. And then up throughout the entire chain of Pradikat wines, Cabernet Spätlese, Auslese, Birchen Auslese, which we just received a little bit, but it hasn't cleared out of the warehouse as well. and Trocken and Auslese and ice wine from time to time as well too. But what this is this has been this is a an old vine Riesling that has been fermented down to complete dryness, and I love these style of wines. This part of the Mosel, as we head down, we're getting closer and closer to the border with Luxembourg and with France and Alsace. So, dry Rieslings are interesting. We tend to bring them in. When we do bring them in, we tend to bring in sort of the high end of the food chain, like the Grosses Gewachsweins, the Grand Cru wines, which are fabulous wines. This kind of goes down a similar path, but what I tend to find with the this particular animal here, the Zeltingen Alte Reben, the old vine Riesling dry Trocken, maybe not quite so severe or austere. Maybe that's a better word. Austere is some of those Grosses Gewachsweins, but also too a much friendlier price point as well too. Now, one thing I'm going to make mention of, we talked about the Selbach family with tracing the history back to 1600. I have to put out a special shout out to our good friend Johannes Selbach. He's actually been traveling to Vancouver. He has been preaching the gospel of good German Riesling for many years. He comes out to Vancouver and to Alberta. He loves coming to Canada, and he really likes coming to Vancouver especially too, because he loves the people, he loves the scenery, he loves the food and everything going on here. And he's been coming here for years, turning people on to quality German Riesling. So we have to thank him for that. And yeah, they keep coming out, and it's sort of a bit of a transitional time at the winery. I mean, Johannes is still firmly at the helm, but his son Sebastian is following in his father's footsteps and carrying on the family tradition. He'll be coming out here later on this year. We had them out here not too long ago, and I believe they're going to be out again probably in June or so too. So yeah, lots of good stuff. So we'll be doing some promos and tastings, I'm sure, around town here, and probably out on Vancouver Island as well too, of course. As mentioned, they're farming 24 hectares of vines in the Middle Mosel, and 55% of their vines are still on their original rootstocks. This is a cool area. Now we're going to pull this up on the Google Earth map. The point I was going to make is Johannes Selbach is one of our favorite suppliers because he's an incredibly knowledgeable and humble man. He says, I'm just a humble farmer, but he is so well traveled, so well educated, so well spoken. But I also love that he is incredibly transparent with his wines. He doesn't go in with a recipe in mind. He merely, not merely, but he accepts what nature gives him, and he tries to make wines that really speak of the vineyard, the vintage conditions, what have you. So he's definitely a very hands off in that regard, not trying to impose his will or steer his wines particularly in any one direction. So and I really appreciate that. I think these are incredibly vivid snapshots of a place. If you want to travel to a place in your wine glass, Selbach Oster wines are a great destination to do some exploring. Let's flip the camera, and I want to show you one thing just to be aware of it, because we bring in quite a few of these wines. So if you ever see the labels, there's we have a variety of wines that we bring in. Take, for example, I was holding up the fish label that we bring in before. If you ever see a wine with just the singular Selbach on it, that is not an estate wine. What that is it's a separate operation that Johannes Selbach and his father set up called J&H Selbach a number of years back. And what that is, this is a négoce bottling. So what that is It's basically grapes grown under contract to their standards, basically from neighboring vineyards or neighboring growers rather, and offered at good price points, and just really really honest interpretations of steep slope Mosel Riesling. If you get into the double-barreled Selbach Oster with, of course, the coat of arms, the heraldry, this is the full-on estate wine. So we're definitely kicking up a few notches in terms of quality here. These are all the estates, and like I said, with the Alte Reben bottling here, which has just arrived. Like I mentioned before, this is going out as we speak. The first 28 cases are going out of the warehouse. You'll see this wine at select BCLDB stores. And this is from 90-year-old ungrafted vines. It's a fantastic Riesling. Hey, before I go too much further, I think this would be a great time to pull up the Google Earth map and have a little look to see where we're located. Let's just get that bottle out of shot. So, of course, as per usual, we are in southwest Germany, it seems. The Rhine River, as it flows north towards Frankfurt, we are basically coming up here by Koblenz, and this is where the Mosel joins up with the Rhine. So the Mosel kind of meanders its way through all the way down to here into Zeltingen, sort of between Koblenz and Trier. And it's a really cool area. It is actually it's an ancient seabed. It's 400 million years old from the Devonian period. And we'll get into that in a moment here. But for our purposes, we're just here around the bend of the Mosel River, coming around Kinheim and Urzig. And down here, this is Zeltingen, Rachtig. This is where Johannes Selbach and his family are located. We are just behind the village here. This is the Himmelreich, the Kingdom of Heaven vineyard. We'll pull that up in a moment too. I've got some photos as well. And then just after that is the Schlossberg vineyard, and then after that is the Zonnener vineyard. And if we keep going a little bit, we lead into Valen. And then just after Valen is Grach, where we spoke earlier, where Willie Schaefer, rest in peace, Willie, are located. And then as we go around the corner, we are in Bernkastel. And if we go a little bit further, we're getting into Bronnberg, where our good friend Oliver Hag from Fritz Hag Winery is located. But we're going back to Zeltingen. Let's pull it up here a little bit. I'm going to just show you a couple of photos here. Johannes Selbach tends to use more traditional oak foeder, like 1,000-liter barrels, where vinification is carried out in combination of foeder and stainless steel. So it's more hands-off in the winery, no fining, wild yeasts. Basically, they focus on really, really meticulous work in the vineyards, trying to produce the best grapes and perfect fruit. This was all flooded in 2021. These barrels were actually just about set to float up to the ceiling, and they actually had to put poles on top here to brace them with the ceiling to keep them from floating away. The river breached its banks in 2021. This is a shot of the Himmelreich vineyard. Like I said, this is it's fairly it's quite steep, incredibly steep in some places. It gets up to about a 70-degree pitch, and 85% of Selbach's vines are on steep slopes. So this faces southwest, goes around the corner. You can see. So this faces due south, then this goes around the corner here, and there's a bit more of a southwesterly exposure. And in the background, you can see that huge bridge they built heading over towards Urzig. And yeah, oh, you know what? I will do one thing. Here's a quick shot as well. I'll just bring it in here just to give you an idea. That's Mr. Selbach in the vineyards. And if you look at his feet, you can see all that rock on the bottom there. And that's what we were talking about, that ancient 400 million year old seabed of this. Let me just pull it back a wee bit here. And we're talking That that is blue Devonian slate. That's what you see there, littered around Mr. Selbach's feet. And what that is it's a very, very poor, crumbly soil. The vines have to work very, very hard to go down deep, looking for water, and they pick up lots of nutrients. And to me, that is where the vines pick up a lot of the that minerality that we find so much in these great Mosel Rieslings, and also I suspect is one of the reasons why these wines have such great natural acidity. To me, that's the central nervous system of the wine. It doesn't matter. That's one of the reasons why I love good Mosel Rieslings. They are that a bit of a chameleon grape. You can do them dry, you can do them off dry, you can do them super dessert sweet, you can do them sparkling. It doesn't matter. They always have that red apple skin, citrus, and that really, really lovely crunchy acidity, or so they should. Um, and that's one of the things I love about this. Why I think Riesling is such a noble grape, because you can do so much with it, and they're so versatile, either on their own or as food wines. What else can I tell you about it? Yeah, we talked about the Blue Devonian Slate. 2020 was sort of the last in a trio of those heat wave vintages, 2018, 19, and 20. And then 2021 was a much, much cooler year. So this wine was fermented down to 12.5% alcohol. So they let the fermentation carry on a little bit longer and kept the wine in contact with its lees. And it's a very toothsome wine, I must say. I've had it a couple of times now too, so I'm really excited that we're bringing this into the market. As mentioned, we talk a little bit about some of the higher end, some of these Grand Cru bottlings, what we call the Grosses Gewachs. And we bring them in from time to time, and I love those wines too, but they are built for the long haul, and they can be very, very austere, which is why I really love this wine, because it tends to display some all that typical beautiful red apple skin Mosel fruit, but that acidity in behind it too. It's still friendly even at this point. Like, I mean, this is quite a young wine, 3.5 years old, but it's so versatile. I think we're coming up towards Easter, and I'm thinking, what would I serve at my Easter table? This would be a brilliant wine to serve with turkey or ham. And I'm thinking also too, if I did like an Easter brunch and I served smoked salmon, this is a great smoked salmon wine. I love it like that too. I think this would probably be a great time to give the wine a try. If you're just joining us, I'll flip the camera around. We are trying the 2020 Zeltingen Alte Reben old vine. This is from 90-year-old ungrafted Riesling vines. Riesling Trocken 2020. So this is a dry Riesling. So I don't serve this too cold. I find that a high acid wine, particularly Mosel Rieslings, we tend to drink them a little bit too cold. I always tell people, use the 15-20 minute rule before dinner. We tend to drink our red wines too warm or white wines too cold. Not that we're getting into patio season or anything anytime soon, although it's going to warm up this weekend, it seems. I always tell people 15-20 minutes before dinner, take the white wine out of the fridge, put the red wine in the fridge, and especially these high acid whites, because if you serve them a little bit too cold, you tend to only pick up the acidity. It kind of numbs the fruit on the wine, and I find you miss out on an awful lot, or the wine finally starts to open up a little bit, and you don't have very much wine left after that. So give it a head start. That's all I say. So as you'd expect, young Mosel wine, we're a very, very pale straw, maybe a slight green tinge to it, I would say. Let's give it a swirl and a sniffy sniff. Ooh, there's all that red apple skin too. Man, that makes my mouth water. Holy cow! Right off the bat. Very, very, almost like a bit of a flinty note. Not 1,000 miles away from what I would get sometimes in a Chablis. Obviously, a different flavor profile, I would say, but kind of goes down that same road. And I love wines like this too. These high acid wines are great, for partnering with food because I think they make a really nice foil to anything rich. If you serve anything with a cream sauce, this would be a great one because that acidity, that crunchy, bracing acidity would cut right through. It's almost a little bit like I call it like a liquid sorbet because anytime you take a sip of this, it refreshes and whatever you've got in your mouth, it cleans it out for the next bite. So these are brilliant food wines. So let's give it a swirl and let's give it a taste. See what we've got. Mmm. Mm-mm. Mm. Wow. Holy cow. Does that ever have a crunch on the finish? My goodness. Seriously, that red apple skin, and it's got a little bit of even though this is a dry wine at 12.5% alcohol, I pick up almost like a little bit of not sweetness but fruitiness. It's sort of the difference. I always tell people, it's a difference like between you don't eat green strawberries, you eat red strawberries. So it's not dessert sweet by means, but it's ripe fruit sweetness, and I pick up just a little bit of that on the tip of the tongue. But as the wine kind of moves into the mid palate, that's when the acidity kicks in. But wow, this has really got like a lot of layers. This is quite a textural Riesling. It's not as oily or as weighty, say, as like a dry Alsatian Riesling, perhaps, but it certainly has some structure to it. So I'm gonna have one more quick sip, if I may. Mm, 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 mm. Nice. Picking up almost like a little bit of a smoky, slightly salty, saline, a bit of a flinty note to it. I'm coming back a little bit to sort of that Chablis descriptor, but again, completely different flavor profile from Chablis. This is definitely Mosel Riesling with a red apple skin and a little bit of that citrus going on in there too. But beautiful, beautiful wine. I'm very, very excited about that. This is just going out of the warehouse. This is the Selbach Oster Zeltinger Alte Reben, old vine, 90-year-old ungrafted vines, Riesling dry. Trocken is dry, 2020. That's just going out as we speak. The first 28 cases are headed to the BCLDB. So look for that shortly, and hopefully, if you get a chance, maybe pick up a bottle or two, try it with your Easter dinner. What else have we got? I don't have an awful lot else going on right now. What have we got? Badia Caltabuana wines back in stock. Still clearing customs. We might have a little bit of Lopez de Heredia kicking around. If you're interested in anything, drop me a line. We've got a small allocation of those wines. They are hard to keep in stock. A lot of demand for those wines. Got a little bit more of our certified organic Brunello de Montalcino from Castelnova dell'Abate, Tenuta de Buon Tempo, Swedish-owned winery, Per Landen. We did a library purchase. We got the last kick at the 2010. Beautiful vintage, drinking well, very reasonably priced. That's not available at BCLDB stores. Listen, if you're interested in anything, I'm not going to give you the big sales job today. Drop me a line. You can DM me here or you can shoot me an email at christian@waldorfwine.com. And that's Christian, KHRISTIAN at waldorfwine.com. Drop me a line and let me know what you're looking for. Anyway, listen, that's about all we have time for this week. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week, but I will ask you, please, if you have not done so already, please do check us out. Follow us on Instagram if you could. We'd love to have you join us here. As we say, we do this every Wednesday. And we've got a few winery visits playing out right now. We're trying to figure out. There are people coming. Just don't know exactly when. We know Selbach, Johannes Selbach, and I believe Sebastian, I believe, are going to be out here. A few other people probably coming our way too. Got a big Bordeaux contingent coming out here in the fall as well too. So we'll keep you posted with that too. Yeah, it's going to be a cool one actually. Got 6 different chateaus coming at the same time. A little mini Bordeaux tour, but yeah, there you be. Anyway, I'm Christian with Waldorf Wine Group. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. See you next Wednesday. Bye for now. And happy Riesling Day. Drink some Riesling today. Some good Riesling.